Can you imagine a mother leaving her young children alone to embark on a luxury cruise vacation? Well, that's exactly what happened in a high-rise apartment in the Memorial area of Houston, Texas. Picture this scene. Lakesha Woods Williams, a 29-year-old mother, packs her bags. She's preparing for a cruise, a luxurious getaway. But there's a catch. Her two young children, an 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter, are not coming with her. They are to remain in their high-rise apartment alone while their mother sails away. The neighbors, they watch. They see Williams leaving her apartment on the 4th of April 2024, her hands filled with luggage. They wait for her return, but day after day, there's no sign of her. The lights in the apartment flicker on and off, but the motherly figure they're used to seeing is nowhere in sight. Meanwhile, inside the high-rise, the two children are left to their own devices. Their home, once a haven, now a cage. The living conditions deteriorate, descending into unsanitary and unsafe states. Yet the children persist, left with no other option but to fend for themselves. A web camera and a cell phone are their only connection to their absent mother, a feeble attempt by Williams to maintain some semblance of contact. But it's hardly enough. Far from the safety and warmth of their mother's presence, the children are exposed to untold risks and dangers, their well-being hanging by a thread. Back outside, the neighbors grow increasingly alarmed. Williams's prolonged absence is not just odd, it's unthinkable. The bustling mother now strangely absent, the children alone and unsupervised. The pieces don't fit together. Fueled by concern, they make a decision to contact the authorities. A decision that would unravel a story that still sends shivers down the spine. The neighbors, alarmed by Lakeisha's prolonged absence, decided to contact the authorities. Their concern was rooted in the unusual spectacle of a mother leaving her apartment with luggage in hand, only for days to pass without a sign of her return. In the heart of Memorial, Houston, a neighborhood known for its quiet elegance, such an occurrence was far from the norm. With the welfare of the children in mind, the authorities were alerted. Deputies from Harris County Precinct 5 were called upon to investigate. Upon entering the high-rise luxury apartment, what they discovered was a scene that was far from luxurious. The living conditions of the two children, an 8-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl, were described as unsanitary and unsafe. The once pristine apartment was now in a state of disarray, a clear testament to the neglect that had transpired. The children, left alone in this chaos, had been forced to fend for themselves. Their young minds were burdened with the harsh reality of survival, a responsibility no child should be forced to bear. When questioned, they revealed a truth that was as shocking as it was heartbreaking. Their mother had left them, not for work or an emergency, but for a vacation on a cruise. The deputies found a web camera and a cell phone in the apartment. These devices, it seemed, were Lakesha's attempt to maintain some form of contact with her children during her absence. Yet these meager efforts fell woefully short of providing the care and supervision that the children required. The children were left to fend for themselves, their only connection to their mother being a web camera and a cell phone. Leaving children unattended, especially for an extended period, isn't just morally questionable, it's legally punishable. This is exactly the situation we find ourselves dissecting in the case of Lakesha Woods Williams. So what are the legal implications of Lakesha's actions? Well, to say the least, they're grave. As stated by the chief prosecutor of the 209th District Court, Keegan Childers, the risks and potential dangers the children were subjected to are severe. To put it into perspective, in Texas, a person commits an offense if they intentionally abandon a child in any place under circumstances that expose the child to an unreasonable risk of harm. This is considered a state jail felony, punishable by up to 2 years in state jail and a fine of up to $10,000. But the charges don't stop there. If it's proven that Lakesha left with the intention to return, as suggested by the web camera and cell phone found in the apartment, this could elevate her charges to a third-degree felony. This carries a penalty of 2 to 10 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000. Furthermore, giving false information about her identity upon her return could lead to additional charges. This act of providing false identification to law enforcement officers is considered a Class B misdemeanor in Texas, punishable by up to 180 days in jail and a fine of up to $2,000. These legal repercussions are not just punitive, but serve as a deterrent for others who may consider similar actions. We must remember that the welfare of the child is paramount in our society. Leaving a child in a situation that poses a risk to their health or safety is not just a failure of parental responsibility, but a violation of the law. The consequences of such neglect are severe and reflect the gravity of endangering minors. This case serves as a stark reminder of the legal and moral obligations we all share in protecting the most vulnerable among us. Upon Lakesha's return from her cruise, she was met not by the comfort of her home, but by the stern faces of law enforcement. The warm sun and the carefree sea breeze were replaced with the cold, harsh reality of her actions. The Harris County Precinct 5 deputies who had discovered her children in a state of neglect were waiting to apprehend her. Lakesha, taken aback by the sight of law enforcement at her doorstep, initially attempted to deceive the officers by providing false information about her identity. However, the truth has a way of revealing itself, and soon enough her real identity was uncovered, adding to the charges she was about to face. The charges were severe, reflecting the gravity of her actions. Abandoning a child with the intent to return, a felony in the state of Texas, was just the beginning. The false identity claim, the unsanitary and unsafe conditions the children were found in, all piled up against Lakesha. She was quickly taken into custody, her cruise vacation ending in a starkly different setting than it had begun. But the legal consequences were not the only fallout from Lakesha's actions. As news spread, the community's reaction was swift and unambiguous. Neighbors, friends, and even strangers expressed their dismay and outrage. How could a mother leave her young children alone in such conditions? The question echoed in the high-rise apartments, the local parks, the schools, and the streets of the Memorial area of Houston. The community's outrage was not just directed at Lakesha, but also served as a broader critique of such neglectful behaviors. It was a reminder of the duty and responsibility parents have towards their children. A wake-up call for society to be more vigilant, more caring, and more responsible. Lakesha's actions have not only led her into legal trouble, but have also sparked a wave of outrage in her community. It was a stark reminder that the well-being and safety of children should always be our top priority, no matter what. The disturbing incident has left a deep impact, not just on Lakesha's children, but on the entire community. This horrifying tale of neglect has sent shockwaves through the Memorial area of Houston, Texas, leaving neighbors and community members grappling with disbelief and concern. The children, left alone to fend for themselves in their high-rise apartment, are now in the protective care of the state. As they navigate this traumatic period, the emotional and psychological toll of their experience is being addressed by child welfare professionals. The legal proceedings against Lakesha Woods Williams have begun, shedding light on the severe implications of her actions. Charged with abandoning a child with intent to return, Williams faces a hefty penalty if found guilty. This charge, a state jail felony in Texas, carries a potential sentence of up to 2 years in a state jail and a fine of up to $10,000 per count. The fallout from this incident has also prompted a broader conversation about child neglect and the responsibilities of parenthood. Community members, shocked by the extent of Williams's neglect, have begun advocating for stronger child protection laws and increased vigilance within the community to prevent such incidents from happening again. Schools, local organizations, and social services are also stepping up their efforts to educate parents about the importance of child safety and the legal ramifications of neglect. The incident has also triggered an examination of personal responsibility and shared community accountability. Neighbors who noticed Williams leaving her apartment with luggage and failing to return played a crucial role in bringing the children's plight to the attention of authorities. Their proactive response underscores the importance of community vigilance in ensuring the safety and well-being of all its members, especially the most vulnerable. As the legal proceedings continue, one thing is clear: the actions of Lakesha Woods Williams have forever scarred the lives of her young children. As we wait for the court's verdict, we are reminded of the lasting impact of this egregious act of neglect and the long road to recovery that lies ahead for these young victims. While this incident is shocking, it's important to remember that child neglect is a widespread issue that affects countless children worldwide. It's a silent epidemic that often goes unnoticed until it's too late. It's not confined to any particular social class or geographical location. It happens in luxury high-rise apartments just as it does in modest suburban homes. Child neglect can take many forms, from physical and medical neglect to educational and emotional neglect. It's an insidious problem that can have long-lasting effects on a child's mental, emotional, and physical health. The scars of neglect can last a lifetime, impacting a child's ability to form healthy relationships and succeed in life. The tragic case of Lakeisha Woods Williams serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of child neglect. It's a wake-up call for all of us to be more observant, more vigilant. It's a call to action for neighbors, friends, and family members to step in when something doesn't seem right. It's a plea for every adult to take responsibility for the welfare of the children in their community. But it's not enough to just report suspected neglect. We must also support policies and initiatives that address the root causes of neglect, such as poverty, addiction, and mental health issues. We must ensure that parents have access to the resources and support they need to care for their children properly. Child protection is everyone's responsibility. We all have a role to play in preventing child neglect and ensuring that every child grows up in a safe and nurturing environment. Whether it's reporting suspected neglect, volunteering at a local child advocacy center, or advocating for policies that support families, there are many ways we can make a difference. Every child deserves a safe and loving environment. Let's all do our part to ensure this. Report any suspected neglect. As we reflect on this disturbing incident, it's important to remember the role of community vigilance in ensuring the safety of children. This story, while shocking, underscores the power of an observant and caring community. It was the neighbors' watchful eyes and their decision to act that brought the plight of these two young children to light. Their actions, driven by concern, led to the rescue of these children from a situation that was not just neglectful, but potentially dangerous. It's a stark reminder that our responsibilities extend beyond our own homes and into our communities. We, as citizens, have the duty to look out for one another and to step in when we see something amiss. In this case, a community did just that, proving that vigilance can indeed make a difference. Turning our gaze to the legal consequences of this incident, Lakeisha Woods Williams is now facing charges of abandoning a child with intent to return. These charges are severe and reflect the seriousness of her actions. Child neglect in any form is a grave offense. It puts children's lives in danger, exposes them to potential harm, and can have long-lasting effects on their overall well-being. This case serves as a harsh reminder that the law is unequivocal when it comes to the protection of children. It also sends a powerful message to society about the importance of responsible parenting. The law doesn't just punish those who harm children, but also those who fail to provide the care, supervision, and protection that every child deserves. In the end, the safety and well-being of children should always be our top priority. As a community, we have a responsibility to protect them from harm. Let this incident serve as a wake-up call, reminding us all to remain vigilant, to act when we see something wrong, and to always prioritize the welfare of our youngest and most vulnerable citizens.